Hi, John and Stephen. I have conducted a research after speaking with you regarding your plan of entering a business in the property development industry. So today I'm going to present to you three of the most common business structures used in this industry. I will tell you their advantages and disadvantages, but of course, it will still be up to you which business structure you will finally choose. I have considered several scenarios that you will likely consider when I was weighing up the options that are available for you. So, one important thing is you always have to bear in mind that you guys are about to enter into a very risky business. Yes, you have a great potential to earn a lot, but there is also a big chance of losing a lot, especially if something goes terribly wrong. You may be facing the risk of losing not just your actual investments in the business, but also your hard earned accumulated assets. Therefore, it is important that you choose the right business structure for your business because this will somehow give you a protection. As I've mentioned, you have three choices. You can either form a partnership, a joint venture, or a company. So first, you will have to ask yourself if you just want to do this in the short term. In other words, are you planning to end the business venture once the units have been developed? Also, are you planning to keep these developed units for yourselves and do whatever you like with them after? So if your answer in both of my questions is yes, then I suggest that you form a joint venture. The thing with forming a joint venture is that you will have to be very careful when you are drafting your joint venture agreement, and you'll also need to be very wary of all your actions. It will be in your best interests if you can make sure that your actions and the terms of your agreement won't make others confuse you as being partners in a partnership. So, if you have been unintentionally acting as though you are in a partnership, you may suffer severe consequences when it comes to liabilities. This is because partners in a partnership generally have unlimited liabilities. An advantage that you can get from a joint venture is that you will be able to pool your resources and both of your skills and expertise in the best possible way. Joint venture also entails several liability. So when I say several liability, I mean you are only liable for your own obligation. A possible disadvantage that may arise is that there could be a conflict of interest between the two of you, since you may be having two different purposes at the end of the project. And lastly, costs involved in forming a joint venture is not that high compared to forming a company. So now let's move on to the next available business structure for you. If you are planning to carry on a business together with a common view of making profits, you have the option to form a partnership. You may think that this is just the same with joint venture, but essentially they are different. That's because if you enter in a partnership, both of you must have the same purpose for the units that you will develop. For instance, both of you will agree to sell these units for a profit which you will share equally or according to your agreement. It also differs from a joint venture in that there has to be an intention to continue doing the business in the foreseeable future. So you can either choose a general partnership, which generally gives both of you an unlimited liability, or a limited partnership, which gives at least one of you an unlimited liability, while the other one can enjoy a limited liability. So, forming a partnership is significantly cheaper than forming a company. But the downside of this business structure is that the liability is joint and several for either one or both of you, depending on which type of partnership you choose. A joint and several liability means that a person who is harmed or wronged by one or both of you can be awarded damages and collect from any one of you, several or all liable parties. Each of you will be liable for part of the damages, or worse, up to as much as all of the damages. In my opinion, the disadvantages of entering into a partnership outweighs the benefits that you can get from it. As I've previously said, you have to consider asset protection as one of your top priorities, and in my opinion, a partnership won't give you that much protection for your assets. Hence, I won't recommend this type of business structure for you. But as I've said, at the end of the day, it's still going to be your choice. And lastly, the last option for you is to form a company if you also want to continue in the property development business continuously or indefinitely. This would be a great option for you if you are thinking of expanding your business in the future, because a company gives you more flexibility when it comes to sourcing additional funds by allowing the company to issue shares to prospective investors and also to issue debentures. You also have to understand that unlike a partnership and a joint venture, a company is treated as a separate legal personality from you. Therefore, it can enter into transactions, it can sue, and it can be sued in its own name. Forming a company will practically shield you from almost all liabilities because the liabilities and obligations of a company is not your personal liability or obligation. Therefore, you can enjoy a limited liability. But you also have to bear in mind that both of you can also be directly liable if it was found that a wrong was done deliberately or recklessly. A disadvantage of this type of business structure is that it is the most expensive to establish and maintain. The company will also have to adhere to a lot of rules and formalities when organizing and running the business. And a failure to meet these obligations may hold the company's directors, which in this case that would be both of you, personally liable for the debts of the business. So that's the three most common business structures in in this industry. After weighing up all the alternatives available for you, my recommendation is for you to choose a company structure if you consider this as a long-term venture, not just a single project, where you have a common goal of earning profits and dividing this between the two of you. Otherwise, if you're just planning to conduct a single project wherein you want to develop properties and then divide this developed properties between the two of you with separate purposes in mind, then I would recommend you to choose a joint venture, provided that you have to be very careful when forming your agreement so as to avoid any future repercussions. So that's it. Thank you.